All right. So, getting into it, what I got today that might consume a few weeks is I printed off this story. It's called, that might be backwards for you, but it's called The Eye of Argon.
Okay, let's go.
So I'll give you a little bit of background on it because it'll make sense. And then I think we'll try to go on a little bit blind for you. So you got some surprises. But it's basically like a short novella or short story or whatever written in the 1960s by a guy. 1970. It was written in 1970 by a guy named Jim Theis or Theis. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. He was a teenager at the time that he wrote it.
Okay.
And he submitted it for publication to the Ozark Science Fiction Association fanzine. And if you don't know what a fanzine is, it's basically
I know what a zine is.
Yeah. Well, just so people know, it's basically
Go for it.
It's basically the pre-internet equivalent of a subreddit. It's like a magazine where anyone can submit like criticism or short stories or news.
An independent and anti-magazine.
Yeah, well, it's not really an anti-magazine. Like, you just submit whatever you want, and they'll pretty much publish whatever they're sent. And the important thing is it's all run by like fans and amateurs. There's not really any professionals or industry insiders involved. It's just you submit stuff to them, and then someone like literally just prints it out in their basement and mails it out to whoever's on their mailing list. This one is in the Ozarks, which I think that's like kind of the American Southeast, more or less. It was written by a teenager who has since tragically Jim has now died. He died in the early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he sent this short story to this fanzine. It could have just faded into obscurity, but somebody noticed it, read it, and shared it with some friends, and they shared it with their friends, and it eventually developed a pretty sizable cult following. And I'll start reading it, and you'll probably see why. And actually, also, before I start reading it, I will send this link, which I also put in the description of the video, so people can read along if they want. It's up to you if you want to read along or not.
Let's go.
There we go.
Perfect.
See, it's an interesting story. I discovered it like about a year ago, and I kind of turned it into a drinking game, which we will not be doing this go around, but now we'll just be reading it. It's a very interesting book story, and we'll just get into it right now. Are you ready?
Let's go. I'm actually kind of getting started on my own end.
All right.
Yeah.
The weather-beaten trail wound ahead into the dust-racked climes of the barren land. And I'll point out the barren is spelled with only one R. There's a lot of spelling mistakes in this. I won't point them all out, but I will try to read
It's not like I would notice anyway. Yes.
As they're written. The barren land, which dominates large portions of the Norgolian Empire. Age-worn hoofprints smothered by the sifting sands of time shone dully against the dust-splattered crust of earth. The tireless sun cast its parching rays of incandescence from overhead, halfway through its daily revolution. Small rodents scampered about, occupying themselves in the daily accomplishments of their dismal lives. Just like such unnecessary description.
I know, that's the imagery is
also feel free to interrupt whenever you want. If there's something that stands out to you, want to dwell on it.
I almost want to hear a little bit of it before I get into anything.
Yeah. Dust, and there's like at least 4 times I think he mentions dust in one paragraph. Dust sprayed over 3 heaving mounts in blinding clouds, while they bore the burdensome cargoes of their struggling overseers. And now we have our first bit of dialogue. Prepare to embrace your creators in the Stygian haunts of hell, barbarian, gasped the first soldier. Only after you have kissed the fleeting steed of death, wretch, returned Grignr. This is our main character. This is our hero, Grignr, Grignr.
Could not be any harder to say.
A sweeping blade of flashing steel riveted from the massive barbarian's hide-enameled shield as his rippling right arm thrust forth, sending a steel-shod blade to the hilt into the soldier's vital organs.
This is a hard read.
Yeah. He has lots of big words in here.
I know. The disemboweled.
The disemboweled mercenary crumpled from his saddle and sank to the clouded sward, sprinkling the parched dust with crimson droplets of escaping life fluid. For some reason, he never wants to say blood. It's always life fluid for some reason.
I'm like, I have no idea, but I have like, what is that game? StarCraft imagery in my head. As I'm reading this. I don't know why.
Well, it's more like Warcraft than StarCraft. It's a bit earlier. But yeah. Okay. The enthused barbarian swiveled about, his shock of fiery red hair tossing robustly in the humid air currents as he faced the attack.
How old was he when he wrote this?
He was like 16 or 17.
That's not bad. Pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he was actually like, hey, it's not bad for a 16-year-old. I don't know what you guys are going on about.
I know, it's not horrible. Yeah.
Faced the attack of the defeated soldier's fellow in arms. Damn you, barbarian! Shrieked the soldier as he observed his comrade in death. A gleaming scimitar smote a heavy blow against the renegade's spiked helmet, bringing a heavy cloud over the Ecordian's misting brain. And Ecordian is spelled with an E. It's not accordion, it's Ecordian. I think that's like his national.
What that means.
His ethnicity.
Oh, okay.
Shaking off the effects of the pounding blow out to his head, Grignr brought down a scarlet-streaked edge against the soldier's crudely forged hauberk, clanging harmlessly to the left side of his opponent. The soldier stead whinnied as he directed the horse back from the driving blade of the barbarian. Grignr leashed his mount forward as the hoarsely piercing battle cry of his wilderness-bred race resounded from his grinding lungs. A twirling blade bounced harmlessly from the mighty thief's buckler. He's now also a thief in addition to being a barbarian.
I know.
As his rolling right arm cleft upward, sending a foot of blinding steel ripping through the Cimmerian's exposed gullet. The Cimmerian, I guess, is the nationality.
No, he's like exposing more of the
soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
A gasping gurgle from the soldier's writhing mouth as he tumbled to the golden sand at his feet and wormed agonizingly in his deathbed. Grignr's emerald green orbs glared lustfully at the wallowing
soul. How could somebody finish this?
How did someone finish this?
Yeah, you know when you said like, oh, that first person must have been really like, into this or super strong.
Yeah, well, it's just it just gets progressively more ridiculous.
Okay.
Like for instance, just right now I've said Grignr's emerald green orbs. Instead of just saying he has green eyes, they're orbs.
I know, like it's so extra.
Yeah. His scowling voice reverberated over the dying form in a tone of mocking. You city-bred dogs should learn not to antagonize your better. Reining his weary mount ahead, Grignr. He doesn't capitalize the G in Grignr this time.
He's done with that shit, man. He's just letting the muses just flow through, you know? He's hit the point.
And he resumed his journey to the Norgolian city of Gorzam, hoping to discover wine, woman, and adventure to boil the wild blood coursing through his savage veins.
He did mention blood, though. Let's go.
He did say blood this time, not life fluid.
No,
that's an improvement. The trek to Gorzam was forced upon Grignr when the soldiers of Kryn were leashed upon him by a faithless concubine he had wooed. Okay. His scandalous activities throughout the Cimmerian city had unleashed throngs of havoc and uproar among its refined patricians, leading them to tack a heavy reward over his head. He barely managed to escape through the back entrance of the inn he had been guzzling in, as a squad of soldiers pounced upon him. after spilling
Oh,
his
okay.
bout of blood from the leader of the mercenaries as he dismembered one of the officer's arms. He
Wow.
retreated to his mount to make his way towards Gorzalm, rumored to contain hordes of plunder and many young wenches for any man who has the backbone to wrest them away. And now we're on to chapter 2. And it is labeled chapter 2. Chapter 1 didn't have a chapter heading, but we're on chapter 2 now.
You're too tough on this 16-year-old, man. I think he's doing a great
Yeah. That's like a small little niggling quibble, I'll admit it. After arriving after dusk in Gorzalm, Grignr descended down a dismal alley, reining his horse before a beaten tavern. The red-haired giant strode into the dimly lit hostelry, reeking of foul odors and cheap wine. The air was heavy with choking fumes spewing from smoldering torches. All one word there, smoldering torches. Encased within the Thetans' earthen-packed walls.
How did you come upon this, sir?
I found a reference to it in a video game, and I was like, what is this about? And then I looked it up. That's how I found it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so underground, I cannot even, like... Which video game was this? Hello? No. I lost you.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
All right. After a brief thing, okay, back we go. Tables were clustered with groups of drunken thieves and cutthroats, tossing dice or making love to willing prostitutes.
To willing prostitutes.
Yeah, not on with they're willing prostitutes willing to make love in public, just at benches in a bar.
That's amazing, how, man. You cannot like hate on this guy. I want to know the image in his head, you know? Like that must be the most glorious scenes of a movie, you know?
Well, I have a strong suspicion he doesn't really know what sex is and doesn't really know that making love, what it means. I think
come on.
I think he thinks making love just means kissing and hugging. That's what I think.
Let me read this again. You make love well, wench, admitted Grignr as he reached the vessel of potent wine. No, man, he knows what's up. Oh, no. I had an objection to what you said.
Well, I would just said that I don't think he knows what it means. I think
he does know, man.
He's from St. Louis, Missouri in like the 1960s. I don't know if his sex education is...
Come on, 16, man. People used to get married back then.
Yeah, but like they don't actually know. You're going to see in a bit. You're going to see some more evidence, which I think will suggest he doesn't really know what everything means. All right. But yeah, so the prostitutes are making love to patrons just out in the open bar. Eyeing a slender female crouched alone at a nearby bench, Grignr advanced, wishing to wholesomely occupy his time. I'm not really sure if I don't know what he means by wholesomely here. Like, I don't know why.
He actually wrote this in the 60s?
Yeah, like it was published in 1970.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. The flickering torches cast.
I have no idea what that wholesomely means.
Maybe he means wholesomely. I don't know.
What does that even mean, wholesomely?
I don't know. Like maybe he thought whole and whore are like the same word or something. I don't know.
Only he knows what that means.
Yeah. The flickering torches cast weird shafts of luminescence dancing over the half-naked harlot of his choice. Her stringy orchid twines of hair swaying gracefully over the lithe, opaque nose.
Dude.
And there's something that like opaque, that the word does not mean what he thinks.
Opaque nose.
Like all noses, I guess, are opaque, as opposed to like a translucent nose, I guess.
Imagine. Maybe like an oblique. Maybe that's where it's going.
Yeah, maybe.
That wouldn't even make sense though.
Yeah. As she raised a half-drained mug to her pale red lips.
Pale red lips.
Yeah, there's an actual description of like, also like the orchid twines of hair, like stringy orchid twines of hair. Like that is not attractive hair in my mind. That is like really badly kept hair. Glancing upward, the alluring complexion noted the stalwart giant as he rapidly approached. A faint glimmer sparked from the pair of deep blue ovals of the amorous female. Ovals, not orbs this time.
What does that even mean?
I think she means that instead of eyes, instead of her having eyes, she has
amorous female. What does that mean?
Amorous just means loving. So she's like, she's into it, even though she's just seen him. She motioned toward Grignr, enticing him to join her. The barbarian seated himself upon a stool at the wench's side, exposing his body, naked save for a loincloth, brandishing a long steel broadsword, an iron-spiraled battle helmet, and a thick leather sandals to her unobstructed view.
Okay. So he's basically flashing his dick.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Thou hast need to occupy your time, barbarian? Questioned the female. And the question mark comes at the female instead of after the dialogue question.
That's all right.
Only if something worth offering is within my reach, stated Grignr, as his hands crept to embrace the tempting female.
Oh, so welcomed he's down to try. He's just like, if it's there, I'll take it.
They're always consenting. That's important. He's big on consent.
In the 60s, man, this guy should get a fucking award.
Yeah.
You know?
From where do you come, barbarian? And by what are you called? Gasped the complying wench, as Grignr smothered her lips with the blazing touch of his flaming mouth.
Oof. The engrossed titan.
The engrossed titan ignored the queries of the inquisitive female, pulling her towards him and crushing her sagging nipples to his yearning chest. Now do you believe me that he doesn't really know? That's like horrible. Sagging nipples
to his yearning chest?
Like that is such a disgusting image. I don't even know what that looks like.
Oh my god, what does that even mean, crushing her sagging nipples? But I mean, whatever. Maybe like he. I don't want to like.
He doesn't fully know, like.
He probably has seen like his mom's or his grandma's or whatever. Sagging, and he's like, oh, that's.
Well, it's not even breasts, it's specifically nipples. I think he confuses them as one and the same, right?
I mean, maybe, but I mean, that's not nice to whoever he's describing there.
I think he thinks it's good. Like he thinks this is attractive quality.
Maybe it is.
Without a struggle, she gave in.
You never know.
Winding her soft arms around the harshly bronze hide of Grignr corded shoulder blades. Just a sentence that I just can't even begin to untangle there. As his calloused hands caressed her firm, protruding busts.
What does that mean?
Bust, I guess. Trigger bust as a reference, like a woman's like a busty woman, I guess.
I think it's probably like her ass, dude.
I think he's talking about her breast still, but maybe not bust. He could be talking about her butt. Dude, it's hard to tell, I guess. Oh, here we go. You make love well, wench. Oh. There it is. He doesn't know what it means. He clearly doesn't know what it means. Admitted Grignr as he reached for the vessel of potent wine. His charge had been...
for this guy, man.
Here we go. Action.
He probably never got laid until like, and he died later. You said, right?
He died in like 2002. He was like in his like 50s or 60s or something.
What's his name? Jim
Theis. His last name is spelled Theis.
While you read the rest of the story, I'm gonna do some Googling.
All right. Okay. Now we get some action. A flying foot caught the mug Grignr had taken hold of, sending its blood-red contents. So the wine can be described as blood, but blood cannot be described as blood.
Wow. Oh, dude,
sending its
that's a
blood-red
legitimate
content
book.
sloshing over a flickering crescent, leashing tongues of bright orange flame to the foot-trodden floor.
The infamous worst fantasy novel ever published for fans. That's what
A
they call it. Eh?
foot-trodden floor is just like the most redundant description of the ground I've ever heard. All right. Remove yourself, sirrah. The wench belongs to me, blabbered a drunken soldier, too far consumed by the influences of his virile brew to take note of the superior size of his adversary. Grignr lithely bounded from the startled female, his face lit up to an ashen red ferocity, and eyes locked in a searing feral blaze toward the swaying soldier. To hell with you, braggart! Bellowed the angered Ecordian as he hefted his finely honed broadsword. The staggering soldier clumsily reached towards the pommel of his dangling sword, but before his hands ever touched the oaken hilt, a silvered flash was slicing the heavy air. The thews of the savage's lashing right arm bulged from the glistening bronzed hide as his blade bit deeply into the soldier's neck, lopping off the confused head of his senseless tormentor. All right.
Oh no, I just read about the ending. No.
Okay.
No, but go on.
With a nauseating thud, the severed oval toppled the floor. I think in this case, oval refers to the head of the guy he just cut off.
This is so funny.
As the segregated torso of Grignr's bovine antagonist swayed. You think a guy from Missouri would know that a bovine is a cow. Anyway.
Oh, so
then collapsed in a pool of swirled crimson. In the confusion, the soldiers' fellows confronted Grignr with unsheathed cutlasses, directed toward the latter's scowling makeup. The slut should have picked his quarry more carefully, roared the victor in a mocking baritone growl.
Mocking baritone growl.
Well, I just want to point out that he referred to the guy he just killed as a slut. So more evidence that he maybe doesn't know what all words mean. He knows that slut is a bad word.
I know,
he doesn't
but
really
you're
know
so tough on this guy, bro.
Anyway, as he wiped his dripping blade on the prostrate form and returned it to its scabbard. The fool should have shown more prudence. However, you shall rue your actions while rotting in the pits, stated one of the sprawled soldier's comrades. Grignr's hand began to remove his blade from his leather housing where he had just put it literally 1 second ago.
Oh, yeah.
But retarded the motion in face of the blades waving before his face. Dismiss your hand from the hilt, barbarian, or you shall find a foot of steel seethed in your gizzard. Grignr weighed his options. Jesus, this is still dead before this chapter ends. Grignr weighed his position, observing his plight, whereupon he took the soldier's advice as the only logical choice. To attempt to hack his way from his present predicament could only warrant certain death. He was of no mind to bring upon his own demise if an alternate path presented itself. The will to necessitate his life forced him to yield to the superior force in hopes of a moment of carelessness later upon the part of his captors in which he could effect a more plausible means of escape.
Dude,
now that's a sentence.
Hard to read.
Hard to read. And also it's just like a really long-winded way of saying he would just buy his time and wait for an opportunity to escape later. Like, that's it.
I mean, listen, I'm still cutting him a lot of slack, him being 16. It's amazing what he's done, but like, come on, sir.
Yeah. Anyway, so Grignr replies, "You may steady your arms. I will go without a struggle. Your decision is a wise one, yet perhaps you would have been better off had you forced death." The soldier's mouth wrinkled to a sadistic grin of knowing mirth as he prodded his prisoner on with his sword point. After an indiscriminate period of marching through slinking alleyways and dim moonlighted streets, the procession confronted a massive seraglio, which I'm guessing is a word. I don't even know this word, seraglio. Let's see what a seraglio is. Seraglio is the woman's apartment in an Ottoman palace or just the Sultan's palace. Okay. So that's what it is. It's a word he found. Well, there you go. He used the word, I think, more or less correctly because I think he is about to meet a sultan.
Okay.
That
looks awesome.
The palace area was surrounded by an iron grating with a lush garden upon all sides. The group was admitted through the gilded gateway, and Grignr was led along, one word, a stone pathway bordered by plush vegetation, lustfully enhanced by the moon's shimmering rays. Some really sexy vegetation there.
Oh, I'm reading about seraglios. That's interesting.
We got sidetracked.
Yeah, sequestered living quarters used by wives and concubines in an Ottoman household.
Or just the palace in general.
Yeah, harem, basically.
I think it's definitely a word he found in a thesaurus, definitely a word he found in a thesaurus.
Seraglio. Okay, perfect.
Upon reaching the palace, the group was granted entrance, and after several minutes of explanation, led through several winding corridors to a richly draped chamber. Confronting the group was a short, stocky man seated upon a golden throne. Tapestries of richly draped regal blue silk covered all walls of the chamber, while the steps leading to the throne were plated with sparkling white ivory. The man upon the throne had a naked wench seated at each of his arms. Great.
Nice. Okay.
And a trusted advisor seated in back of him. At each cornwr, Cornwr, of the chamber, a guard stood at attention with upraised pikes supported in their hands. All right. Golden chainmail adorning their torsos and barred helmets emitting scarlet plumes, enshrouding their heads.
Enshrouding their heads. What the fuck?
They have helmets on. They're wearing helmets with scarlet plumes.
Why? I mean, whatever.
The man rose from his throne to the dais surrounding it. His plush turquoise robe dangled loosely from his chunky frame. Okay. The soldiers surrounding Grignr fell to their knees with heads bowed to the stone masonry of the floor in fearful dignity to their sovereign liege.
What?
Some weird punctuation there, which I won't get into. Explain the purpose of this intrusion upon my chateau. He's French now, no longer Ottoman. He's French now. Your serenity, resplendent and noble grandeur, we have brought this yokel before you. The soldier gestured towards Grignr. That's in brackets, that part. For the redress of your all-knowing wisdom and judgment regarding his fate. Down on your knees, lout, and pay proper homage to your sovereign, commanded the pudgy noble of Grignr. By the surly beard of Mrifk, Grignr kneels to no man, scowled the massive barbarian.
I'm more entertained by you. That the other voice was brilliant.
You dare to deal this blasphemous act to me?
Yes.
You are indeed a great stranger, yet your valor smacks of foolishness.
That's pretty good.
I find you to be the only fool sitting upon your pompous throne, enhancing the rolling slabs of your belly in the midst of your elaborate luxury. And the soldier standing at Grignr's side smote him heavily in the face with the flat of his sword, cutting short the harsh words and knocking his battered helmet to the masonry with an echoing clang. And for some reason, he put a dash between echo and "ing." Oh. I don't know why. The paunchy noble's sagging round face flushed suddenly scale. What's that?
Nothing. I was just saying that I read that like his biggest beef with his work was the spelling mistakes.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Then pastily lit up to a lustrous cherry red radiance. His lips trembled with malicious rage while emitting a muffled, sibilant gibberish. His sagging flabs rolled like a tub of upset jelly, then compressed as he sucked in his gut in an attempt to conceal his softness.
Wow.
The prince regained
Good
his
beard,
sketch, then spoke to the soldiers surrounding Grignr, his face conforming to an ugly expression of sadistic humor. Take this uncouth heathen to the vault of misery, and be sure that his agonies are long and drawn out before death can release him. As you wish, sire. Your command shall be heeded immediately, answered the soldier on the right of Grignr, as he stared into the barbarian's seemingly unaffected face. The advisor seated in the back of the noble slowly rose and advanced to the side of his master, motioning the wenches seated at his sides to remove themselves. He lowered his head and whispered to the noble, Eminence, the punishment you have decreed will cause much misery to the scum. Yet it will only last a short time, then release him to a land beyond the sufferings of the human body. Why not mellow him in one of the subterranean vaults for a few days, then send him to life labor in one of your buried mines? To one such as he, a life spent in the confinement of the Stygian pits will be an infinitely more appropriate and lasting torture. The noble cupped his drooping double chin in the folds of his brimming palm, meditating for a moment upon the rationality of the counselor's words, then raised his shaggy brown eyebrows and turned towards the advisor, eyes aglow. As always, Agafund. I don't want to spell this guy's name. The advisor's name is Agafnd.
I know.
Agafund.
Agafund.
You speak with great wisdom. Your words ring of great knowledge concerning the nature of one such as he, saith the king. The noble turned toward the prisoner with a noticeable shimmer, reflecting in his frog-like eyes, and his lips contorting to a greasy grin. I have decided to void my previous decree. The prisoner shall be removed to one of the palace's underground vaults. There he shall stay until I have decided that he has sufficiently simmered. Whereupon he is to be allowed to spend the remainder of his days at labor in one of my mines. Upon hearing this, Grignr realized that his fate would be far less merciful than death to one such as he, who is used to roaming the countryside at will. A life of confinement would be more than his body and mind could stand up to. This type of life would be immeasurably worse than death. Which he already said that.
Immeasurably worse than death. Strong statement.
I shall never understand the ways of your twisted civilization. I simply defend my honor and am condemned to life confinement by a pig who sits on his royal ass wooing whores and knows nothing of the affairs of the land he imagines to rule? Lectures Grignr, ? Enough of this. Away with the slut before I lose my control.
Dude, he wow.
Seeing the peril of his position, Grignr searched for an opening. Crushing prudence to the sword, he plowed into the soldier at his left arm, taking hold of his sword and bounding to the dais supporting the prince before the startled guards could regain their composure. Agafund leaped Grignr and his sire, but found a sword blade permeating the length of his ribs before he could loose his weapon.
Oh, wow.
I think Agafund just got stabbed. I'm not really sure why or how.
He basically got killed.
Yeah. The counselor slumped to his knees as Grignr slid his crimson blade from Agafund's ribcage. The fat prince stood undulating in insurmountable fear before the edge of the fiery-maned comet. his flabs of jellied blubber pulsating to and fro in ripples of flowing terror.
Dude, somebody should
Wait,
do like a little picture.
now, your majesty, growled Grignr.
Majesty.
Mag is spelled M-A-G, then Jesty. The prince went rigid as Grignr discerned him glazing over his shoulder, but glazing instead of gazing. He swiveled to note the cause of the noble's attention, raised the sword overhead, and prepared to leash a vicious downward cleft, but fell short as the haft of a steel-rimed pike clashed against his unguarded skull. Then blackness and solitude, silence enshrouding and ever peaceful, reigned supreme. Before me, Sirrah, before me as always. Ha! Ha ha! Ha! Nobly cackled. I think that's the prince cackling, I think, or the king. And that thus ends chapter 2, and I think we can pause it there and maybe pick up next week.
Let me first say you added so much to it. I think you made it entertaining.
Yeah.
Like at some point I like let go of the story and I was just like listening to you.
Yep, so that's the end of chapter 2. Grignr's headed to prison. Yeah.
Hey, we must admit, at 16 years old, I couldn't fucking do this ever. Let's be honest, I wouldn't have the attention span to finish the story.
Yeah, he put a lot of work into this. There's no doubt about it. He didn't. No one spell checked it or edited it in any way. But he's clearly inspired by a lot of other books he read. Did not fully understand the meaning of a lot of words. I don't think he really knows what sex is
or what slut means.
Or what slut means. Definitely. He almost, I think he exclusively uses slut to describe men. So,
yeah. I wonder, was it at any point used for both genders? I bet it has been.
I don't know. Maybe.
Let's look up.
He always describes women as wenches or females. It's always like the slender female.
Etymology of slut. It was actually, I love when you see the use in text. Like in the 1800s, it was like popular. Like it pretty much in the early 1900s falls out of popularity, and like in the right around 1970s, it starts to pick up in popularity all the way to like now. Nympho, tart, tramp, skank.
There's lots of fun words. He uses a few of them. He uses harlot. That's a fun old timey word.
Hussy.
Yeah, he hasn't used that one yet.
Doxy. Scrubber, slag, hoe.
Slag. Anyway.
Scarlet women? What does that even mean? Scarlet women. Choose a language. Let's see if an Afrikaan is. No, it doesn't really mean anything from that. Okay. Well, good to know.
Yep.
Slut. What does that
Slut.
mean though? We didn't look it up.
What, the word slut? It means
The meaning of it.
someone who sleeps around.
A dirty, slovenly, untidy woman. Yeah, dirty woman.
Yeah.
Woman of doubtful origin, but probably idle woman, slut, slaughter, a careless man. It could refer to as a careless man, but the exact relation with these is obscure. Okay.
All right.
A kitchen maid, a drudge, mid 1500s. Ooh. Women who enjoy sex in a degree considered shamefully excessive is by 1966. That's what it meant. So around the time that it got popular in use.
Yeah, it's true. The word was just getting popular when he was writing this.
He just wanted to use the word slut.
You heard the word slut, didn't really know what it meant, and was like, I'm going to put this in.
My wife called up the people to washing by 4 o'clock in the morning. What? And our little girl Susan is a most adorable slut, pleases us mightily, doing more service than both the others, and deserves wages better. This is 1664.
Oh.
Yeah, so their maid was called a mighty slut.
There you go.
No, the most admirable.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
All right. Well, I think we'll end this episode there.
All right. That's a good slutty ending to